When you were trying to, find your niche or, find your purpose within the content space, what led you to running? Was it just is that just a byproduct of like you being yourself, or did you like intentionally seek out running? Because you were never historically a runner, right?
Yeah. So it all started, it happened during the pandemic. So I was living at my mom's house at the time, and I was a trainer. I got laid off as a trainer because every gym in Maryland got shut down. So I was on unemployment, and I'm like, all right, I'm sitting here. I'm like, there's a couple, just like most people, you have a couple options. You either sit at home and keep drinking and just relaxing and eating and just whatever, or you find a way to build fitness into your lifestyle, even when you don't have all the sexy equipment, right? So I had my neighbor install a pull-up bar in my garage, in my mom's garage, out of a PVC pipe. And then I was reading "Can't Hurt Me" by David Goggins,
Good one.
and that book changed my mindset. To your point, Jeremy, like 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't have volunteered to run a marathon. I wouldn't even fathom. I probably couldn't tell you how long that distance even is. But my story, and I think what's helped me along this journey, is that it's a story that's relatable for a lot of people. Doing things that are uncomfortable is what a lot of people aspire to do. Very few people do it. And I think for me, when I was documenting that journey of first marathon, cramped at mile 18, full body cramps because I didn't bring any nutrition or any hydration, just running like an idiot. Then I was doing the Goggins challenge, 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And I was doing these challenges that were obscene that people couldn't fathom. And 4 months ago, I just got into running, and they're like, how the hell is he doing all this shit? And I just got obsessed with this pursuit of challenging myself. And that's how I found running. It was all through the pandemic. It was because there was nothing else there was not as many no friction hobbies that I can do. Like, I love running because it requires very little. A pair of running shoes and a good attitude. And you do that, you can go as far as you want, as short as you want, whatever it is, but you can do it. And no one teaches you how to run. We just all know how to do it as humans, whether you're an Olympic sprinter or you're a 9-to-5 father. Like, you know how to do it. You could tie your shoes on and you can just start moving your body. But that's how I found the running, was through Goggins' story. And then I resonated with it, and I'm like, let me see what I could do.
Yeah, that's how I got into running as well. For the most part, is just I found Goggins through Joe Rogan's podcast, bought his book, read it, got fired up. Want to run through a wall, like how you feel after you read some Goggins stuff. But I think that mindset of just wanting to challenge yourself and constantly get out of your comfort zone, that's the moral of the whole story, right? Like, that is, no matter what it is that you decide to do with your life, as long as you're constantly doing things that are uncomfortable, because that's where all the growth is, right? Like, you're not gonna find any growth sitting on the couch watching Netflix. Like, you're not getting any better. And so trying to find things that are uncomfortable and that are gonna hurt mentally or physically, and just do those things that put stress on your body and that, again, get you out of your comfort zone.
In your mind.
Yeah, more than anything is the mind, right? Because that bleeds into everything else in life, not just physical fitness, but your mental fitness, like building a business or your personal brand, or when inevitably shit hits a fan in life, like, you're mentally prepared for that because you've gone out and run a marathon or the 4x4x48. Yep. Is that kind of like the approach you take to running now, is like using it as a tool to build that mental fitness?
1000%. People always ask me, like, how do you stay so positive? Like, what is a bad... My buddy Aaron Alexander, he asked me this question. I was like, oh shit. I really thought about it for a second. He's like, Matt, how do you stay so positive? Like, what does your bad day look like? And I really thought about it for a second. I'm like, oh shit. It's a really thoughtful question. I think about those moments where I'm like, oh shit, I've ran 100 miles before. I've ran a 50-mile race before. And in that pain and in that torture, that self-torture that you put yourself through, you find yourself. And you start to have more gratitude and perspective of, what is stress really? Like, is losing out on a brand deal life-breaking for me? Is losing out on a client, or losing out on, or a video not going viral, is that daunting for me? Is my life gonna be detrimentally worse because of it? At the end of the day, it's not. So even when shit happens to me, the Houston Marathon and all these things, like, internally of just like, all right, now you're having all these external voices and opinions talking badly now, actually talking negatively about me, myself, and my brand, right? And the thing I was most proud of about all of that is I was sitting on an airport going to go meet up with Mark Bell, and I got an email from Nike and Dick's Sporting Goods saying, Matt, stop posting, or they just said, hold off on posting any content around the race, around products, around the brand. And in that moment, I was literally read that email. I didn't respond. And my flight was about to take off. And I closed my eyes and I took my hat off and I'm just like, if I lose out on every single brand that I work with, all of them, Cuts, Pro Mix, Shocks, Super Coffee, COROS, Nike, Dick's Sporting, if I lose out on all of my brand deals, I said, I would be okay with it. And I would come back from that opportunity like a phoenix coming out of fire. You know what I'm saying? Like I just had this internal belief that like, even though the narrative of the story that that person wrote from Marathon Investigation, I just knew in my heart that it was not my intent. I did not go there to qualify for someone else. If I did, I probably shouldn't have made content around it, right? So for me, dealing with stress, dealing with adversity, a lot of these things I come back to exactly what we talked about. It's the physical and the mental stress of putting yourself through a ringer, whether it's a race, whether it's a cold plunge, whether it's a sauna, whatever it is in life. And those opportunities, those little micro stressors of life, when you do it every single day, it makes these big stresses, it makes them feel like nothing. And even in that moment, I'm like, all right, well, what would I lose out on? Maybe a little bit of reputation, a little bit of monetary value, but at least internally, I would hold my values and my morals strong. And I could always die on that sword. I'd rather die on my own sword than someone else's perception of who Matt Choi is. And I think in those moments, it makes me double down even further of like putting myself through discomfort, making myself uncomfortable in a lot of fucking ways so that when shit like that happens, because I guarantee even for you, bro, like let that be a piece. Like on this rise, we're going to be in this game for a long time. There's going to be a lot of good and bad, and there's going to be ups and downs. But you can't just be on your high horse when shit's going well. Can you be on your high horse when shit's going bad? And that's a true character, I think, of a creator, of a brand, of a business, of a human. What are you like when everyone's going against you? And I think that was the biggest thing I learned in that moment. I was like so true to internally of who I am that it didn't matter what anyone else was thinking or saying.